agility, contact, action. Lacrosse, the fastest game on foot.
NCAA Lacrosse, the Division I Championship, brought to you by Natural Light Beer. Taste is why you'll switch to Natural Light. Welcome to Palmer Stadium on the campus of Princeton University, where today we're going to bring you the NCAA Division I Lacrosse Championship between two undefeated teams, the Blue Jays of Johns Hopkins and the Tar Heels of North Carolina. Hi, I'm Bob Smith, and along with Leif Elsmo, we're going to be bringing you all the action of this great championship game. Leif, these two teams have not met since 1977, and that in a playoff game.
That's right, Bob. It was a good game then. Hopkins won 16-9, so this is the second time they've played each other in history. And, of course, the first time this year, both teams being undefeated, a dream matchup. Carolina has the best team speed and quickness in the league. Really awesome. They can kill you in so many different ways with their speed and quickness. Hopkins, on the other hand, equally as good in transition, but they have two of the hottest properties in lacrosse today. They've got Jeff Cook and they've got Brendan Schneck. And let me tell you, these are two guys to watch today. Brendan Schneck has 31 goals on the season, which is more than the whole first midfield on the North Carolina team. And, of course, he was an All-American attackman at Navy. He was an All-American midfielder at Hopkins last year, the most valuable player in the country. I asked Coach Scroggs of North Carolina, who, incidentally, likes to get his teams prepared in a general way. They like to do the things they do best. They don't specialize and go after one guy on the opposition's team. I said, how can you ignore two guys like Cook and Schneck that have proven that they can dominate a game anytime during the year?
Well, our approach all year has been to just concentrate on ourselves. I think that Brendan Schneck and Jeff Cook are going to get their points, and we're not going to concentrate and changing our whole philosophy for just two kids. We hope that we can prevent some of the other guys on Hopkins teams from having a good day.
Johns Hopkins, of course, has had a tremendous season, and they're putting this back-to-back with 3 other straight championships. But I've noticed some subtle changes, I guess, in the way Hopkins has been playing lacrosse this year. Perhaps it's because of the players they have.
That's right. Hopkins, you know, one of the best teams of all time. They've won 3 straight championships, something no other team has done, and now they're going for their 4th. They've won 22 straight games. They've won 47 out of their last 48. What more can you say? But you're right, Bob. Their style, and you'll see it today, is to go one-on-one. They like to set up one-on-one situations where their superior talent can beat their man and set up a slide from the opposition, thereby creating an unsettled situation. I asked Coach Ciccarone how the team speed and the quickness that's so awesome on Carolina, how is he going to deal with that?
Carolina definitely has a great transition game, and they have excellent speed, and that's one of the things that we want to try and control today and force them into playing a half-field game with us. At the same time, we want to push our transition game when we get it, and if not, then we just want to work the ball.
These teams are certainly matched very, very evenly. But, you know, I've watched Hopkins all season long. I've read a lot about Carolina, not having seen them, and I tell you, I'm leaning a little towards Carolina. I think Carolina could win this game by 3 or 4 goals. You have a prediction, Leif?
Well, as you said, it's very, very tough to predict, but I've got to go with the tradition and the fact that Hopkins has been here before, and maybe more than that, the fact that they've got 2 guys that they can go to in the clinch when they need a goal. 2 guys that stand out, head and shoulders above anybody on this field. And again, that's Cook and Schneck.
You know, there'll be 4 players on Johns Hopkins that will have played on all 4 championship teams if they win today. That'd be Kevin Kilner, Jeff Harris, Jim Zafuto, and defenseman whose name escapes me at the moment.
That's right. We had a chance to talk to some coaches and some high-ranking people in the ISLA about their predictions on today's game.
I'm Chuck Winters, Cortland State University. I think Carolina's going to win because of their strength in goal, and today with the heat, I think the possibility of them being able to run 3 midfielders is going to be to their advantage.
Stay out of the picture, please.
Tommy Thompson from Denison University. I go with North Carolina for the same reason. I think the strength in the goal is their biggest asset, and I think you'll see North Carolina run and gun today.
Bruce Allison, Colorado School of Mines. I think you've got to go with the traditional. You've got to go with Johns Hopkins. They've had the experience in the big game.
Make sure the logo on the mic's turned towards the camera. Turn around. That's it. You ready?
Mickey Cochran, Bowling Green. I'm going with tradition. I think Hopkins, by virtue of being here in the past, with other factors being even, I just feel I've got to go with the history and strength of that move.
Richie Moran, Cornell University. go with the transition game. North Carolina, it's got great speed, the ability to turn a ball over very quickly. If they play a slowed down game, Hopkins, of course, will have the advantage, but I'd pick North Carolina to win today.
Jerry Schmidt, the new coach at Princeton University. I pick it as a one-goal game either way. Thank you.
Mike Hanna, recently head coach at Princeton, now Hobart College athletic director. I like North Carolina's depth, their overall athletic ability, and their strength in the goal. I think that Hopkins' experience of being in the NCAA championship game will be something that is tough for Carolina to contend with. Either way, I look for a very close game.
There you've heard from the coaches, you've heard from Leaf, you've heard from me. You'll have to make up your own minds, those of you who've seen Hopkins or North Carolina during this season.
That's right, Bob. It's going to be, again, a dream matchup, and it's going to be an exciting game.
So stay tuned. We'll be back in a moment with the starting lineups and the opening face-off of this championship game. Welcome back to Palmer Stadium. Bob Smith along with Lee Felsmo. We're almost set to bring you the opening face-off of the NCAA Division I Championship. We're going to see the starting lineups now for North Carolina. Their starting attack. Number 3, you see Mike Burnett, 5'10", 160 from Arnold, Maryland. Number 15, Monty Hill, 5'11", 165 from Charlottesville, Virginia. And number 25, Kevin Griswold, 5'11", 180 from Simsbury, Connecticut. And now the starting midfield for the Carolina Tar Heels. As we take a glance at the Hopkins huddle, Coach Henry Ciccarone preparing his people for their last bit of information. And here we have the Carolina midfield. Number 8, Doug Hall, 5'9", 150 from Levittown, New York. Number 21, Pete Vocal, 5'9", 175 from Baltimore, Maryland. And number 36, the big gun, who also faces off 6'3", 215 from Butler, Maryland, Steve Stenerson, number 36. Coming up next will be the starting defense for the Tar Heels. Great crowd here at Palmer Stadium. They may set a record for attendance at the Division I NCAA Championship lacrosse game today. On defense, number 12, Jamie Allen, 6'1", 185 from Levittown, New York. Number 13, Gary Burns, the All-American candidate, 6'1", 185 from Manhasset, Long Island. And number 37, Johnny Haas, 5'10", 185 from Ruxton, Maryland. And we'll pause now for our national anthem. Completing the starting lineup for North Carolina will be the goalie, sure to be an All-American this year, number 27, Tommy Sears. Sears has had as many as 24 saves in a single game while keeping the Tar Heels on the unbeaten track for the entire season. Tommy Sears, he should be a standout today. Now we're just about set for the opening face-off, facing off for North Carolina. We'll get back to the starting lineup for Hopkins quickly. As you see, starting on attack, the regulars for Hopkins all season: Jeff Cook, Jim Zafuto, Jeff Harris, On the starting midfield, Bill Cantelli, Henry Ciccarone, Brendan Schneck, the All-American. On defense, Lance Schneck, Dave Black, and Kevin Kiefer, and in the goal, Brian Holman, number 40. There's the opening whistle, and we're just about set, and Howie Abbott has almost control, now loses control of the opening faceoff, and Carolina's going to go down on offense for the first time in this game. Going in and taking a real good shot right on goal was number 8, Doug Hall, and he has the first shot of the game. It's backed up nicely over there by Kevin Griswold.
Doug Hall's an excellent midfielder, Bob, and we're going to see a lot of running and gunning from this Carolina team. What a fantastic day. Perfect weather, jam-packed stadium. Everybody here that wants to be here from the NCAA to see the best two teams in Division I play lacrosse.
Griswold brings it in. They put it back out front. I'm anxious to see the kind of offense that Carolina runs. We have not been able to see them all season long. Bob, look down now. Excuse me, go ahead, Lee.
Right now they're setting up a play. They like to call play an opener every game, and they change it every game. Right now they'll probably go through a series of 4 or 5 passes and end up with Pete Vogel with the ball taking the shot.
That time, Hall took the shot, easily handled by Brian Holman, and quick outlet pass to number 44 for Johns Hopkins, Walt Carswell. One of the things Hopkins does very well is clears the ball. And as you can see, they did it with very little trouble then against Carolina.
Hopkins has beaten so many teams, as you said, by clearing the ball, doing everything well. From one end of the field to the other, they are mistake-free, or as close to it as a team can get.
18, Henry Ciccarone gives it over to number 25, Brendan Schneck. He's going to try his dodge right away and fire off. A nice feed inside is a foot and he scores. A picture play, the kind of play Hopkins works with great regularity all season long, and Hopkins has the first goal just a minute gone here in the first quarter.
Well, Schneck comes in, and of course, everybody's looking for Schneck to shoot. It's only 1 minute gone in the first quarter, and then it drew the defenseman up on Schneck. We can take a look at it, because Schneck is the gun that everybody has to double team. Now he comes in, he's drawing a double team. You see it come off the crease, and that leaves Zafuto wide open. He takes it, turns around with a lot of patience, fakes Sears low and goes high. Sears had no chance to stop that, and just like that, Hopkins gets a 1-0 lead. The defending champions going for the 4th in a row national championship.
Johnny Shipper facing off now against Howie Abbott. Shipper for Carolina. Carolina white jerseys, light blue numerals, Carolina blue. And Johns Hopkins in their Blue Jay blue jerseys with white numerals. Bringing the ball in now, Jeff Kendall. Kendall rolls in. He's going to have an opening. Instead goes to pass it back to Jeff Cook. Overthrows it, and Carolina will get their first opportunity to clear the ball. Just for those fans of you familiar with Johns Hopkins, that was Jimmy Zafuto. That's Z-A-F-F-U-T-O. And that misprint came from the program here. And we apologize for that, but it's Jim Zafuto.
Here's a
Johns Hopkins 13-0 season, and we'll see that in all cases except against Navy, Hopkins handled all of their opponents fairly easily.
13-0, very impressive, Bob, and of course that's why they're here in this championship with 13-0 schedule. But Carolina also undefeated, and that makes only the second undefeated. Here's their record, 11-0. You can see the 2 playoff games, 13-6, 17-8. This is their first championship final game ever, and this team is really hot, undefeated.
Monty Hill picked up there by Has Franklin. As Carolina works the ball very, very briskly out in front. I don't think Carolina is seeing a team that plays midfield defense quite as toughly as Johns Hopkins. Another good shot taken inside there by Shipper. And ground balls here, very important, and we'll see a pushing call probably coming up, and that's what it'll be. The referees in today's game will be the referee, as you see right now, Bob Schlenger on the far side, the near side, Charlie Phillips, and also today from the Carolina area will be Mike Peterson. Bob Schlenger from Baltimore, Charlie Phillips from Pennsylvania, and Peterson from North Carolina.
Bob, this is the third midfield for North Carolina, and you can watch it's actually the third, but it's their second best, or maybe their best offensive midfield. This midfield has scored 35 goals this year, tops in the midfield units for North Carolina.
John Shipper handling the ball back. Excuse me, that's Andy Smith handling the ball out front. Andy Smith, the most highly recruited lacrosse player in Baltimore last year from St. Mary's High School in Annapolis, Maryland.
We're watching Griswold behind the goal. Griswold's an All-American midfielder who was converted to attack this year.
Griswold getting a lot of heat from Dave Black. Runs inside, beats him. This is the goal. The inside roll, the move that most attackmen prefer to move close to the goal when they're being pressured, as Griswold was by Dave Black.
Griswold has 15 goals and 15 assists on the air, 30 points, but he actually scored more last year as a midfielder. Tough transition to make from midfield to attack, and Griswold's done it as well as could be expected.
Mike Burnett, leading scorer on the team for North Carolina, now being picked up by Lance Schneck. Schneck with a good wrap check. Burnett turns and fires and hits the plate. As Brian Holman was standing tall, not leaving much room. And Holman runs the ball out to the end line, and Hopkins will gain possession.
This is a great play because Burnett is the top gun for North Carolina. He's got 22 goals, 30 assists. Watch him come in with the inside roll. He picks a spot, and what a great save by Holman. He was going for the corner and just about had it, but not only was it a great save, but he runs it out in the back line to give Hopkins the ball. Again, pointing out that Hopkins is so consistent with every phase of the game. If you let down in one phase, they're going to take advantage of it.
Bringing the ball up now very, very quickly, Jeff Kendall, and there's a looked like a pretty good slash to us, but no call comes, and Kendall rolls in across the top of the box and clears the ball easily for Johns Hopkins. Jimmy Zaputo now handling. Zaputo has been the key in the playoffs for Johns Hopkins, having scored 5 goals against the University of Virginia in the quarterfinal.
It really has, and everybody talks about the team speed, and of course we alluded to it, of North Carolina, but this Hopkins team can do everything. They just like to use the power moves because that's what Schneck and Cook do best.
Jeff Cook picked up by Johnny Haas. Cook can come back and shoot. A good high bouncer. This field is in beautiful shape. It's probably as fine a manicured lacrosse field as we've seen all season. And one of the things that the goalies have to be a little concerned about is not a dirt crease area. There is grass in there, and the ball has a tendency to skip on the grass rather than kick off like it does on the dirt.
Absolutely, but this both teams have to be very happy with this field, especially Hopkins, who plays at a disadvantage with dirt on their field.
Zaputo now trying to come back out front, turns and fires. Tommy Sears picks it up, looking for a quick outlet, and finds it over here with Gary Burns, the All-American defenseman.
You know, Bob Sears is a great goalie. 2 years ago when he was drafted out of school, or not drafted, but picked up to play college ball, Coach Ciccarone from Hopkins wanted Sears first, Holman second. North Carolina, Willie Scroggs got Sears, and Holman's proven to be almost as good so far in his sophomore year.
Good check there by Lance Schneck to take the ball away from Mike Burnett, and Jeff Cook coming up to help out on the clear, gets the feed right at midfield line. Looks to me early in the game, Leaf, that the officials are going to let him play today. I've seen a couple of hits that I'm sure would have been penalties earlier in the season.
They are, and again, when we talk about refereeing, it's just like any other sport. You want consistency, and as long as the referees are consistent throughout the game, that's all either team can ask.
Back over to Brendan Schneck. Schneck starts a hard move. He'll fire from there. Courage, and Sears picks that off easily. Recovered. Cantelli overruns it. Number 7 for Hopkins. A lot of hitting going on out there. It's a very, very warm and humid day here at Princeton University, and the team with the best depth and best conditioning certainly will have a distinct advantage.
On paper, that's got to be Carolina.
Pass. Back across field. Carolina, though, picked up very nicely by Brendan Schneck. Number 21 rolling in top was Peter Vocal. Vocal turns and fires, and those shots aren't going to go against Brian Holman. You have to take the corners or bounce the ball. Holman picks off the high hard shot very well. Nice stick handling there on the part of Jamie Allen for North Carolina, and they go back on offense.
The ball's really moving back and forth now, and you're getting to see what a transition game could do. North Carolina's supposed to have the advantage, but here comes Hopkins.
After the fast break, over to Jeff Harris, and Harris misses it, and that'll kill the fast break, as he's still under a lot of pressure from Jamie Allen. Nice hit by Allen. He puts the ball back in play. It's going to be a one-on-one situation. Who gets the ball? Ryan Holman puts it back out. Now he loses it. A lot of hitting going on out there.
Unbelievable.
Nice move by Mike Burnett. He steps on the line, however, and throws the ball out of bounds.
The referee calls it out. Great play, riding, clearing by both teams. Started by Jamie Allen, who was the MVP in the junior college tournament last year, and here he is 1 year later in the national finals. He's got to be pretty happy, but he intercepted that pass, brought it up, and almost a one-on-one, but Holman came 30 yards out of the crease to intercept the ball.
Good move by Brian Holman as he anticipated a tough situation one-on-one if he did not get the ball out of there. 9:21 remaining in the first quarter of the NCAA Division I Lacrosse Championship. Comes Jeff Kendall rolling in, but Carolina gets back in the hole very, very well. John Basil picking up Kendall there. And they give it off to Jeff Cook. Jeff Cook, the trigger man, the quarterback on offense for Johns Hopkins. Tries the inside roll, now comes back, double team, fires and scores! And that's what Jeff Cook will do to you. He'll beat you 2 times, 3 times. He is indomitable going to the goal, and Hopkins has their second goal. They now lead Carolina 2-0, 8:59 remaining in the first quarter.
Bob, this is vintage Cook, and let's we're going to take a look at Cook right here. This is vintage Cook, power all the way. You see the double team come across? He's a football player, and he comes in and dodges that ball, puts it right inside the pipe. He's got the size of a football player, and he loves to pull in, use the power move, and with the great stick work, this guy can take control of a game, as we mentioned in the pregame, anytime he has a good day.
Jeff Cook, a 5'11", 190 from Pikesville, Maryland. Stennerson again facing off against Offit, rakes it back, picks it up on the dead run. He's going to be sandwiched there, a real good hit. A nice inside feed in the first goal for North Carolina as Monty Hill gets the good feed on the far side over there from Mike Burnett, and Carolina now trails 2-1, 8:50 remaining in the first quarter.
Burnett to Hill, that's what they hope to see a lot of today. And Monty Hill playing crease has 24 goals on the year, a shooting percentage of higher than 50%. That means every 2 shots he takes, he's going to score a goal. Let's watch the fast break as they come down. Here's Burnett. He passes over. He sees Hill joining the defense. He dumps it over to Hill. Monty puts it right in behind Holman, who had no chance to compensate from that 5-yard slide. And just like that, they needed that goal badly. 2-1 with 8 minutes and 50 seconds left.
Once again, Stenderson against Offit. Good move. You see Stenderson gets his foot right inside and tries to keep it off the ball. Jeff Homeyer in there trying to help out. Recovered nicely by Stenderson. Stenderson is a big lad, 6'3", 215 pounds from Butler, Maryland.
He is good size, but he's going against Howard Offit, who's 5'10" and 180, but he's real powerful and probably the best face-off man in Division I now, especially with Krause coming off that injury and not playing up to par in the last half of the season.
That shot kind of ill-advised there. No backup for Carolina. Brian Holman alertly runs the ball out, and Hopkins will gain possession back in the corner. 8 minutes and 30 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Johns Hopkins 2, North Carolina 1 in the NCAA Division I Lacrosse Championship game.
Bob, so far we've seen pretty much what we expected. We saw Hopkins use the power move with Cook, which they'll use. They'll use it with Schneck. They'll use it with a number of their personnel. And we saw the transition game of Carolina give them a goal. So that's the way the game should set up, and we should see a lot more of that before the day's out.
Lance Schneck almost scores a goal for Carolina as he throws it back to the inside of Brian Holman. Now we'll see Carolina back in a zone ride. Hopkins clears the ball easily as they get a lot of help from the attack. Caputo now comes in looking for some openings. Rolls in, he can shoot from there, gives it off to Harris. Harris under a little bit of heat though from Gary Burns, and Carolina goes back up. Here comes Kevin Griswold, no fast break however, as he's picked up nicely over there by Dave Black. There's a shot, a beautiful shot! What a shot from number 8, Doug Hall, as he got the ball from Kevin Griswold, and Carolina ties this game 2-all, 7:46 remaining in the first quarter.
You talk about a smoker. This thing must have been going 110 miles an hour. It came in, Griswold, the midi, comes down, the converted midi, comes down the wing midi, looking for somebody to feed. Everybody's picked up, so he dumps it off to Doug Hall, who was following the play. Doug Hall takes that right-handed shot, put his whole body into it. It had to be 100+ miles an hour, and Holman just how it go right over his left-handed shoulder to the right-hand corner of the net at 7 minutes and 46 seconds left. Just like that, 2-2. This game should be tough down to the fourth quarter, Bob.
Once again, facing off this time, John Schipper for Carolina, and Hallie Offit is going to be a tired young man at the end of the fourth quarter when this game is over if he continues to do all the faceoffs for Johns Hopkins. Nice job by Offit. Offit pulls the stick very well as he's almost double teamed. Back to Brian Holman, a good outlet pass up to Dave Black, and Hopkins will have the ball cleared. Once again, a bad pass after which Jeff Harris had a go out of bounds, and this is the worst clearing we've ever seen Hopkins perform.
Well, you won't see that very often. Yeah, you won't see them make a bad pass. They are so consistent in the mid-stripes, and we saw not too long ago in the semifinals against Virginia, a Virginia team that was very well. Here's Ciccarone, Coach Ciccarone for the Johns Hopkins team, and he's shaking his head because his team, again, does not make those mental breakdowns and technical breakdowns that many times. They're well-drilled, an excellent coaching staff, 5 deep on each side. As a matter of fact, Bob, if you suited up the coaching staffs, that team would probably make the playoffs. Excellent talent, and most of them have got their schooling and playing time in at Johns Hopkins.
All-Americans Mike O'Neill and Donnie Zimmerman helping out Willie Scribes at North Carolina. At Johns Hopkins, All-Americans Freddie Smith, Joe Cowan, Dennis Townsend, along with Jerry Pfeiffer and Jimmy Amon.
You know, we talked about the jittery feeling that Carolina makes experience being the first time in the playoffs. That, I would have to say, is gone right now.
Another high, hard shot taken over there, this time taken by, we believe, number 36, Steve Stenderson. He comes out of the game now. And it's replaced on offense by number 8, Doug Hall, as Carolina goes back on attack. Mike Burnett, number 3, picked up by Lance Schneck. Instead of a stack in front of the goal, but Burnett is almost knocked down. Now he comes clean, looks outside. The ball rolls out of the top of the stick, and we'll see what the call is.
He was in the crease. Burnett came around. He was double, triple team. He tried to dish it off out front, but the double team came so fast from Hopkins, 2 or 3 guys on top of Burnett, because he's the guy they're looking for. He didn't get a chance. Now we'll see him coming from behind. Watch your screen, the monitor. Here he is, triple, double team, and he gets slammed into the crease with a legal check, and that, of course, means that the ball will go to Hopkins. They'll get the opportunity to clear it.
Ryan Holman looks up to Brandon Schneck. They have a 2-on-1 midfield clear on the near side, and Schneck will easily run it across the midfield line. And they get it downfield quickly to Bill Cantelli, and back point behind to Jeff Cook. And Cook throws the ball away. It's a try to feed the crease to Harris, and Harris under a lot of heat inside. But we're watching Hopkins move the ball very, very quickly. They put pressure on you when they're down in your end of the field, and you better be alert You'll
do.
find yourself on the short end of the score.
But you know, Bob, you mentioned a minute ago that you hadn't seen them clear as doggedly as they have, and I think they are a little bit tight, if not as much as Carolina. Maybe because they're thinking about that team speed that they've heard about. They haven't played them all year long. They've heard nothing but look at Carolina's team speed, watch their quickness.
Inside Chipperoni trying to feed over to, and they slide nicely on Harris, but I think there'll either be a push from the rear. We'll call it a push, a loose ball push, and Hopkins will retain possession. They're sliding out. They've seen this play a number of times, obviously. You can watch Jeff Harris coming out from the
This
crease.
is off the far side, and there comes Burns up behind
team.
him. The double team, Burns comes, and then of course number 33 comes up behind him to help out. And that is a push from behind, 33 being Roy Messinger. Ball stays down for Hopkins to control.
It's all even, no penalty situation. There's a loose ball. Ball on the push.
Any technical foul where the ball is loose, all you do is give possession to the other team.
Bill Cantelli now being very patient out front. Picked up over there by Johnny Basil. Fires and scores! And there was no screen, no excuse. I'm not sure what that was. Tommy Sears got beat stick side on a low outside shot. A nice shot by Bill Cantelli, and Hopkins moves out on top. 3-2, 5:24 remaining in the first quarter.
Bill Cantelli, a 5'8", 165-pound sophomore. Watch him come in. It's 3-2 Hopkins as he comes in with his third goal of the day. Look, he cranks up the right-handed shot. A shot that Tom Sears normally is going to save. Tom Sears saving 69% of the shots taken at his goal. But that one went in with a great shot by Cantelli to give Hopkins a 3-2 lead with still 5 minutes left and 24 seconds in the first quarter.
He may have been screened by his own defenseman as we saw it on the replay there, and that might have been what blocked his vision because the shot was from about 15 yards away. Still no control on the faceoff. And we're going to have a uncontrolled swing.
Doug Hall was playing with the hand off the stick. He had one hand in, and his loose hand was pushing off of the defender. That is illegal. The ball is going to go to Hopkins on that faceoff.
Coach Freddie Smith.
We'll get a chance to look at it as we get the replay. And watch the left hand. He comes in and watch the left hand push off a little bit. There he goes, pushes off. That, my friend, is a foul. And again,
your free arm to
foul.
block in lacrosse. What a game this would be.
That's right. There's plenty of contact in lacrosse. We don't need. We have to maintain field goals.
Jeff Cook now trying an inside roll again, puts across the crease. Aputo does not handle very well though on the bouncer. And Hopkins will go back and reload.
You see Hopkins settling it down. Now watch how they just they're very patient, very patterned. They're going to set up, hopefully what they'd like to do is get an isolation to create a slide from the defense that they can use their superior stick work.
Hopkins setting up the screen in front of the goal with Mike McGee. Now going back outside, Kendall fires and scores. He beats Tommy Sears. And if they don't clear that screen out in front of the goal, North Carolina's going to be in for a long day. Hopkins moves out on top by 2 again. 4-2 they lead Carolina. 4:36 remaining in the first quarter.
Well, Jeff Kendall, a junior transfer from Smyrna Park, he's 6'1", 170, and these one-on-ones are killing Carolina. He comes in with a left-handed shot. Sears, again, looked like he should have read the play and come down on it. The first 5 shots that Hopkins took were all high, pretty ineffective with these low shots. Sears is not getting a good read on him. As you mentioned, this grass may be having him squirt a little bit. This is one of the few creases that I can remember seeing, Bob, where there's grass all the way through the crease.
You were saying earlier, and the ball is not kicking up, it's skimming along the grass. Finally controlled by Carolina momentarily, though, however, as Hal Yoffin continues to pursue it, along with number 18, Jeff Homeyer for Carolina. Pick up this in front of the goal. Stennerson, a backhanded shot, we believe a shot, but Hal Yoffin snares it, and Hopkins is on their way up the field.
I'll tell you, both teams are running pretty well. With this hot day with the sun beating down by the fourth quarter, we're going to see what depth has to say about what these teams running and gunning.
Lance Schneck up to Howie Offit. Offit will clear the ball across the midfield line as Carolina drops back in his zone. And they give it off quickly to Joe Soletti, over to Jim Zafuto.
I can see Coach Henry Ciccarone on the sideline saying, settle it down, take your time. They don't want to get in a running match with these guys. They're in control right now of the game, 4-2, and they want to keep it that way.
Harris fires and scores, and Sears, not having one of his best days, as Harris from 12 yards away fires that right over Tommy Sears' shoulder. Hopkins has the biggest lead of the game. They now lead 5-2, 3:45 remaining in the first quarter.
You know, Sears was one of the guys that everybody pointed to be a key to this game. He's one of the top goalies in lacrosse. He's only a sophomore, though, and maybe the pressure has gotten to him. Some of these early goals have him a little bit rattled. We'll see Harris driving in. Again, the third straight unassisted one-on-one goal. He comes in, cranks up, and just fires from about 12 yards. That goal would normally be saved by Tom Sears, but something has got him off his game. And if he doesn't get it in shape real fast, North Carolina's going to have a long, long day.
Carolina called for delay. They failed to set up quickly enough on the faceoff. 25 seconds elapsed, and Hopkins is awarded the ball. That kind of penalty can hurt you, particularly when you just had 3 goals scored on you right in rapid succession.
Absolutely, and unassisted goals, 3 in a row. They're not getting the slides, and they're getting beat with a one-on-one game.
Scoot over to Harris. Harris back behind to Henry Ciccarone. As Hopkins works an invert now, puts 2 midfielders behind the goal and brings their entire attack out in front of the goal. Schneck trying to go one-on-one, trying to isolate against Peter Vocal. Turns and fires wide of the goal as he kept moving in against Vocal, moving in with every turn, getting closer to the goal.
Peter Vocal playing defense on Schneck. There's Brendan Schneck, Mr. All-Everything. He was All-American in attackman at Navy, came to Hopkins, and last year was an All-American midfielder, first team, also the most valuable player in the league. But he was playing against that time against Pete Vocal, who is only a sophomore for Carolina, but who is also an honorable mention All-American in his own right. He was a very good player for Carolina.
Tommy Sears now walking up with the ball as Hopkins pops back in the triangle, riding very tightly on the defensive end of the field against the Carolina attackman. Give it over nicely to Johnny Hawes, and Hawes is going to clear it across the midfield line, but he's in a lot of trouble now. He tries to run between 2 defensive ball players for Johns Hopkins. The ball picked up by Kilner. He loses it as Marty Bergen flips it back towards the only safe area behind his own goal. Ryan Holman quickly out to Walt Carswell. He's in a little bit of trouble. And a nice hit there by number 21, Peter Vocal.
Unbelievable hit. And that is heads-up ball, and it's a clean hit. Carswell knows it. You see him getting up. He's all right. That's just the wind knocked out of him. But Pete Vocal got about a 10-yard beat on him, like you would have playing safety in a football game. He comes flying up. Carswell had turned his body to catch the pass. Now look, he turns around, and Pete Vocal timed it beautifully. Hit him right in the front square, just in the middle of the body. Perfectly legal hit. The ball goes out of bounds. That kind of thing can turn the ball game around for a team that's struggling. And North Carolina is struggling right now.
Carswell stays in the game. To give it over to Pete Vocal. Vocal trying to dodge in. No movement toward the goal as Vocal tried to dodge. Nice stick work in there by Dougie Hall.
Doug Hall's a transferred attackman. Last year was attackman, this year's a midfielder.
Backside feed, a shot and a score. Over there taken by number 25, Kevin Griswold. He twirled his stick once and threw the bouncer by Brian Holman. And now Carolina cuts Hopkins' lead. They trail 5-3, 2:29 remaining in the first quarter.
Griswold, again, first-team All-American last year, a midfielder, a very, very solid player. Carolina moved the ball real well. Now watch, he makes a nifty little fake here. He sights it up. He sees he has a good shot, good try. He bounced it about 2 yards in front of Holman, and it came right underneath the pipe, which is a very tough save for goalie to make because he's playing for the ball to bounce over top the goal. And in that case, it went right underneath. A great shot by Griswold to bring it back to 5-3. As we mentioned, that hit sometimes can turn the tide and get things going back in your favor.
Ball still rolling loose. Hopkins almost controls. He's going to pursue a little further. Picks it up, and he'll throw it back to Brian Holman.
Hopkins dominating the faceoffs, Bob. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 faceoffs to 1 for Carolina.
Howie Offit, his credentials are 5'10", 180. So he's a little overmatched in size, but doing an outstanding job against Stennerson.
But you know, in the faceoffs, a smaller, more compact man has an advantage because he has the lower center of gravity and he can drive the other man off the ball.
Ball brought in now by Saletti as he dodges past a couple of Carolina defenders. And Hopkins goes back on offense. Tommy Sears having a few moments here to get himself together after being kind of bombed in the late going here in the first quarter.
Absolutely. What Tommy Sears needs right now, he's a great goalie, but he's had to make some adjustments. He needs a couple good saves to get him back into his game. There's a double team by Carolina on Jeff Cook.
And Sears knocks it down and snares it. The alert goalie will always be able to knock down those passes over top.
Great play by Sears. That was a great play by Sears, and it could get him back a little more relaxed, a little more into his game.
Quick feed inside, trying to get the ball inside to the cutter, number 18, Jeff Homeyer. But alertly, that was knocked down in front of the Hopkins goal. And now Hopkins will try to clear against the Carolina zone ride.
Great ride by Griswold, knocked it right back into Hopkins' stick.
Monty Hill almost snares that one. The ball still not cleared. A lot of pressure being put on here, and that's a wrap check around the throat. That'll cost somebody a minute. It'll be Dougie Hall. We'll see if they call it a hold or a slash. It'll be called a hold, a 30-second technical foul, and Hopkins will be attacking the goal with 6 men, and Carolina will have only 5 to defend.
Well, watch Doug Hall. He comes in here playing against Joe Saletti of Hopkins. Doug Hall comes across. He wants to get the stick, but he missed. He got the neck, and he knows it's a foul, so he let the stick go, but the referee was right there, and he still called it holding. Good call by the referee. He was right on the spot. And now Johns Hopkins is going to have their first extra man situation.
Leif, I think you have some outstanding statistics on North Carolina extra man.
They really do. On the man down, they are the leader in all of lacrosse. They only allow .136 efficiency for the team that's going against their team. Hopkins, conversely, has a very good man down. They allow like 35%. But this team, for instance, last week against Navy, Navy took 11 shots, only scored once. This could be a big factor in today's game.
Now we see trying to feed backside and back out front. And Chickaroni will fire from there. A good save by Tommy Sears as he drops to his knees. That's the shot that Hopkins likes to take on extra man from out front again, on with the screen in front of the goal.
Sears coming out of the goal.
Tommy has not come out of the goal so far. You see 26 seconds showing on the scoreboard clock in this quarter. Still a lot of pressure now. Man breaks downfield very quickly. That's number 20, Johnny Shipper. He's going to roll in and try to score with a few seconds remaining. A nice feed inside.